Hello friends, today we are going to talk about social constructivist approaches to education, part 1, lesson 11, significance of social constructivist approach, teachers and peers as joint contributors to students' learning. Objectives of this modules are to know the significance of social constructivist approach in education, to understand the roles of teachers and peers as joint contributors to students' learning through the use of tools such as scaffolding, cognitive apprenticeship, tutoring and cooperative learning. Social constructivist approach emphasizes the social context of learning and the idea that knowledge is mutually built and constructed. Involvement with others create opportunities for students to evaluate and refine their understandings as they are exposed to the thinking of others and as they participate in creating shared understanding. In this way, experiences in social context provide an important mechanism for the development of students' thinking. Johnson & Johnson, 2010. Vygotsky's social constructivist theory is especially relevant for the current topic. Vygotsky's model is a social child embedded in a socio-historical context. Moving from Piaget to Vygotsky, the conceptual shift is from the individual to collaboration, social interaction and socio-cultural activity. Daniels 2011, Gredler 2009. In Piaget's cognitive constructivist approach, students construct knowledge by transforming, organizing and reorganizing previous knowledge and information. Vygotsky's social constructivist approach emphasizes that students construct knowledge through social interaction with others. The content of this knowledge is influenced by the culture in which the student lives, which includes language, beliefs and skills. Holzman 2009. Piaget emphasized that teachers should provide support for students to explore and develop understanding. Vygotsky emphasized that teachers should create many opportunities for students to learn by co-constructing knowledge along with the teacher and with peers. Gawain and Park 2010. In both Piaget's and Vygotsky's models, teachers serve as facilitators and guides rather than directors and molders of children's learning. Notice that we speak about emphasis rather than a clear-cut distinction. Often there are no clear-cut distinction between social constructivist and constructivist approaches. For example, when teachers serve as a guide for students in discovering knowledge, there are social dimensions to the construction, and the same is true for processing information. If a teacher creates a brainstorming session for students to come up with good memory strategies, social interaction is clearly involved. Some socio-cultural approaches such as Vygotsky's emphasizes the importance of culture in learning. For example, culture can determine what skills are important, such as computer skills, communication skills, teamwork skills. Other approaches focus more exclusively on the immediate social circumstances of the classroom, as when students collaborate to solve a problem. Significance of the social constructivist approach. The social constructivist learning theory helps educators tailor their classroom instructions to students' level of understanding, as well as their goals and needs. Some benefits that come along with this type of learning includes: it increases creativity, the ability to take more risk and the freedom to explore in different ways. It encourages discovery through problem solving and collaboration. Students can then put the new understanding into practice with different activities or assignments. It prompts students to reflect on what they have learned. This can be done by asking questions about why something is important or reflecting on the activities that help them learn a specific concept. Many teaching environments can benefit by incorporating some tenets of social constructivist theory, even if they don't shift to it entirely. The teacher's role in social constructivism. Social constructivism suggests different ways for teachers to teach most effectively based on the ideas such as the relationship of learning and long-term development, the role or meaning of generalization and abstraction during development, and the mechanism by which development occurs, the relationship of learning and long-term development of the child. Social constructivists such as Vygotsky emphasize the importance of social interaction in stimulating the development of the child. Language and dialogue therefore are primary, and development is seen as happening as a result. The converse of the sequence pictured by Piaget, obviously a child does not begin life with a lot of initial language skill, but this fact is why interaction needs to be scaffolded with more experienced experts, people capable of creating a zone of proximal development in their conversation and other interactions. In the preschool years, the experts are usually parents. After the school years begin, the experts broaden to include teachers. A teacher's primary responsibility is therefore to provide very rich opportunities for dialogue both among children and between individual children and the teacher. The role of generalization and abstraction during development. Social constructivism sees abstract thinking emerging from dialogue between a relative novice, a child or youth, and a more experienced expert, that is a parent or teacher. From this point of view, the more such dialogues occur, then the more the child can acquire facility with it. The dialogue must, of course, honor a child's need for intellectual scaffolding or a zone of proximal development. A teacher's responsibility can therefore include engaging the child in dialogue that uses potentially abstract reasoning, but without expecting the child to understand the abstraction fully at first. Young children, for example, can not only engage in science experiments like creating a volcano out of baking soda and water, but also discuss and speculate about their observations of the experiment. They may not understand the experiment as an adult would, but the discussion can begin moving them towards adult-like understandings. How development occurs? In social constructivism, development is thought to happen largely because of scaffolded dialogues in a zone of proximal development. Such dialogue is by implication less like disturbing students' thinking than like stretching it beyond its formal limits. The image of the teacher therefore is more one of collaborating with students' ideas rather than challenging their ideas or experiences. In practice, however, the actual behavior of teacher and students may be quite similar in both forms of constructivism. Any significant new learning requires setting aside, giving up or revising formal learning, and this step inevitably therefore disturbs thinking, if only in the short term and only in a relatively minor way. A second strategy may be coupled with the first. As students gain experience, as they become able to think about how they learn themselves best, and you as the teacher can encourage such self as one of your goals for their learning. These changes allow teachers to transfer some of their responsibilities for arranging learning to the students themselves. Situated cognition. Situated cognition is an important assumption in the social constructivist approaches. It refers to the idea that thinking is situated in social and physical context. In other words, knowledge is embedded in and connected to the context in which the knowledge developed. Langer, 2009. If this is so, it makes sense to create learning situations that are as close to real world circumstances as possible. Teacher and peers as joint contributors to students' learning. Social constructivist approaches emphasize that teachers and peers can contribute to students' learning. 4 tools for making this happen are scaffolding, cognitive apprenticeship, tutoring, and cooperative learning. Scaffolding. Scaffolding is described as the technique of changing the level of support over the course of a teaching session. A more skilled person, that is teacher, or a more advanced peer of the child, adjusts the amount of guidance to fit the student's current performance. When the task the student is learning is new, the teacher might use direct instruction. As the student's competence increases, the teacher provides less guidance. Pavan, 2008. The scaffolding provides support when needed, but it is gradually removed as the bridge approaches completion. Researchers have found that when teachers and peers use scaffolding in collaborative learning, students' learning benefit. Look for situations to use scaffolding in the classroom. For instance, good tutoring involves scaffolding Also, scaffolding is increasingly used when technology is involved in learning. Work on giving just the right amount of assistance. Do not do for students what they can do for themselves, but do monitor their efforts and give them needed support and assistance. Cognitive apprenticeship. Developmental psychologist Barbara Rogoff 2003, Rogoff and others 2007 stresses that an important tool of education is cognitive apprenticeship, a technique in which an expert stretches and supports a novice's understanding and use of a culture's skill. The term apprenticeship underscores the importance of active learning and highlights the situated nature of learning. In the cognitive apprenticeship, teachers often model strategies for students. Then, the teachers or more skilled peers support students' efforts at doing the task. Finally, they encourage students to continue their work independently. To illustrate the importance of cognitive apprenticeship in learning, Rogoff describes the contrasting experiences of the students from middle income and poverty backgrounds. Many middle and upper income American parents involve their children in cognitive apprenticeships long before they go to kindergarten or elementary school. They read pictures, books with young children and bathe their children in verbal communication. In contrast, American parents living in poverty and less likely to engage their children in a cognitive apprenticeship that involves books, extensive verbal communication and scaffolding. Cognitive apprenticeships are important in the classroom research. Researchers have found that students' learning benefit from teachers who think of their relationship with a student as a cognitive apprenticeship. Using scaffolding and guided participation to help the students learn. Grinstaff and Richmond 2008. Tutoring. Tutoring is basically cognitive apprenticeship between an expert and a novice. Tutoring can take place between an adult and a child or between a more skilled child and a less skilled child. Individual tutoring is an effective strategy that benefits many students, especially those who are not doing well in a subject. Classroom aides, volunteers and mentors. It is frustrating to find that some students need more individual help than you as their teacher can give them and still meet the needs of the class as a whole. Classroom aides, volunteers and mentors can help reduce this frustration. Monitor and evaluate your class for students you believe that could benefit from one-on-one tutoring. Score the community for individuals with the skills in the areas in which these students need more individual attention than you are able to give. Some parents, college students and retirees might be interested in filling the classroom tutoring needs. Several individual tutoring programs have been developed. The Reading Recovery Program offers daily half an hour one-on-one tutorial sessions for students who are having difficulty learning to read after 1 year of formal instruction. Evaluations of the Reading Recovery Program have found that students who participated in the program in the first grade were still performing better in reading in third grade than their counterparts who did not participate. However, some researchers have found that the key to whether a program like Reading Recovery is effective is the extent to which phonological processing skills are included. A recent analysis with strict criteria for research success revealed that reading recovery has positive effect on students' alphabet skills and general reading achievements. Another program that uses tutoring is Success for All (SFA), developed by Robert Salvin and his colleagues 1996, Salvin and others 2009. This comprehensive program includes the following: a systematic reading program that emphasizes phonics, vocabulary development and storytelling and story retelling in small groups. A daily 90-minute reading period with students in the first through third grades being regrouped into homogeneous cross-age ability groups. One-on-one tutoring is reading by specially trained certified teachers who work individually with students who are reading below grade level. Assessments every 8 weeks to determine students' reading progress, adjust reading, group placements and assign tutoring if needed. Professional development for teachers and tutors, which includes 3 days of in-service training and guidelines at the beginning of the school year, then follow-up training throughout the year. A family support team designed to provide parenting education and support family involvement in the school. First implemented during the year 1987 to 1988 school year in the 5 inner city schools in Baltimore, Maryland, SFA has expanded to over 475 schools in 31 states in US. Some studies have found that students who have participated in the program have better reading skills and are less likely to be in special education classes than disadvantaged students who have not been involved in the program. Salvin and others, 2009, Weiler, 1998. A recent research review of 10 students using strict criteria for evidence of research support revealed that SFA had positive effect in the alphabetical domain such as phonological awareness. Peer tutors. Fellow students also can be effective tutors. In peer tutoring, one student teaches another. In cross-age peer tutoring, the peer is older. In same age peer tutoring, the peer is a classmate. Cross-age peer tutoring usually works better than same age peer tutoring. An older peer is more likely to be skilled than a same age peer, and being tutored by a same age classmate is more likely to embarrass a student and lead to negative social comparison. Peer tutoring engages students in active learning and allows the classroom teacher to guide and monitor students' learning as he or she moves around the classroom. Researchers have found that peer tutoring often benefits students' achievement. In some instances, the tutoring benefits the tutor as well as the tutee, especially when the older tutor is a low achieving student. Teaching something to someone else is one of the best way to learn. Although researchers have found that tutees learning benefits more than tutor learning. Peer assisted learning strategies, PALS. The peer tutoring program used in the study just described is called peer assisted learning strategies. PALS was created by the John F. Kennedy Center and the Department of Special Education at Peabody College at Vanderbilt University. In PALS, teachers identify which children require help on specific skills and which children are most appropriate for helping other children learn those skills. Using the information, teachers pair children in the class so that partners work simultaneously and productively on different activities that address the problems they are experiencing. Pairs are changed regularly so that as students work on a variety of skills, all students have the opportunity of being coaches and players. Two other peer tutoring programs are reciprocal peer tutoring (RPT) and class-wide peer tutoring (CWPT). Ginsberg Block 2005. RPT was initially developed for use with low achieving urban elementary school students and provides opportunities for students to alternate in tutor and tutee roles. CWPT includes tutor training, reciprocal teaching and motivational strategies such as team competition. Bowman, Perrott, 2009. Online peer tutoring. Online peer tutoring is increasingly being used in elementary schools, secondary schools and colleges. Online peer tutoring usually starts with the teacher engaging students in online tutoring. Then as students gain more experience in working together online, some of the online tutoring activities are conducted by trained, knowledgeable students. Of course, as with face-to-face tutoring, students will need training and guidance to become successful collaborators and peer tutors. One program, Microsoft Peer Coaching, combines technology and peer coaching for teachers themselves. An important emphasis in the Microsoft program is having teachers coach other teachers in using technology to improve students' learning. Cooperative learning. Cooperative learning occurs when students work in small groups to help each other learn. Cooperative learning has increasingly been used in recent years to improve students' learning and skills. Cooperative learning groups vary in size, although 4 is a typical number of students. In some cases, cooperative learning is done in dyads, 2 students. When students are assigned to work in a cooperative group, the group usually stays together for weeks or months, but most such groups occupy only a portion of the student's school days or year. In a cooperative learning group, each student typically learns a part of a larger unit of knowledge and then teaches that part to the group. When students teach something to others, they tend to learn it more deeply. Research on cooperative learning. Researchers have found that cooperative learning can be an effective strategy for improving achievement, especially when two conditions are met. They are: group rewards are generated, some type of recognition or rewards is given to the group so that group members can sense that it is in their best interest to help each other learn. Individuals are held accountable. Some methods of evaluating a student's individual contribution, such as an individual quiz or report, needs to be used. Without this individual accountability, certain students might do some social loafing, that is, let other students do their work, and certain others might be left out because the rest of the group believes that they have little to contribute. When the conditions of group rewards and individual accountabilities are met, cooperative learning improves achievement across different grades and in tasks that range from basic skills to problem solving. Johnson & Johnson, 2010. Motivation. Increased motivation to learn is common in cooperative groups. In one study, 5th and 6th grade Israeli students were given a choice of continuing to do schoolwork or going out to play. Only when students were in cooperative groups were they likely to forego going out to play. Positive peer interaction and positive feelings about making their own decisions were motivating factors behind the students' choice to participate in the cooperative groups. In another study, high school students made greater gains and expressed more intrinsic motivation to learn algebraic concepts when they were in cooperative rather than individualistic learning context. Interdependence and teaching one's peers. Cooperative learning also promotes increased interdependence and connection with other students. In one study, 5th graders were more likely to move to a correct strategy for solving decimal problems in their partners clearly explained their ideas and considered each other's proposals. Types of tasks in which cooperative learning works best. Do some types of tasks work better in cooperative or collaborative efforts and others better on an individual basis? Researchers have found that cooperative learning implemented without rewards has little benefit in regard to such simple tasks such as rote learning, memorization or basic mathematics, but produce better results with more complex tasks. Cooperative learning approaches. A number of cooperative learning approaches have been developed. They include STAD, that is Students Team Achievement Divisions, the Jigsaw Classroom 1 and 2, Learning Together, Group Investigation and Cooperative Scripting. Creating a cooperative community. The school community is made up of faculty, staff, students, parents and people in the neighborhood. More broadly, the school community also includes central administrators, college admissions or school admission officers and future employers. To create an effective learning community, conclude that cooperation and positive interdependence need to occur at a number of different levels. The learning group of children with a classroom, which we have discussed earlier, the classroom between the classrooms, the school parent interaction, the school neighborhood interaction as follows. The classroom cooperation. There are many ways to create cooperation and interdependence for the whole class. Class goals can be generated and class rewards given. This can be accomplished by adding bonus points to all class members' academic scores when all class members attain a goal, or by giving non-academic rewards such as extra free time, extra recess time, stickers, food, t-shirt or a class party. Classroom cooperation can be promoted by putting teams in charge of a daily class cleanup, running a class bank or business, or engaging in other activities that benefit the class as a whole. Classroom interdependence may also be structured through dividing resources, such as having the class publish a newsletter in which each cooperative group contributes one article. In the case of a class studying geography, the ceiling was turned into a large world map. The class was divided into 8 cooperative groups. Each group was assigned a geographical location on which to do a report. The class then planned an itinerary for a trip to visit all 8 places. Yarn was used to mark their journey. As they arrived at each spot, the appropriate group presented its report about the location. The summary of this module: The significance of social constructivist approach according to the implication of Vygotsky's model for teaching is to establish opportunities for students to learn through social interactions with others. With the teacher and peers in constructing knowledge and understanding, all social constructivist approaches emphasize the social factors contribute to students' construction of knowledge and understanding. The teacher and peers as joint contributors to students' learning explain how teachers and peers can jointly contribute to children's learning through the use of tools such as scaffolding, which is the technique of providing changing levels of support over the course of teaching session with a more skilled individual, a teacher, or a more advanced peer of the child, providing guidance to fit the student's current performance. A cognitive apprenticeship involves a novice and an expert. The expert stretches and supports the novice's understanding of and use of the culture's skills. Tutoring can take place between an adult and a child, or a more skilled child and a less skilled child. Individual tutoring is effective. Classroom aides, volunteers, and mentors can serve as tutors to support teachers and classroom learning. Cooperative learning occurs when students work in small groups to help each other learn. Researchers have found that cooperative learning can be an effective strategy for improving students' achievement, especially when group goals and individual accountability are instituted. Cooperative learning works better for complex tasks than simple tasks. It often improves intrinsic motivation, encourages students' interdependence, and promotes deep understanding.